Up, everybody? This is Ben. I'm the personal trainer at the Buell Club now. I recently graduated Slippery Rock, and I came home to celebrate that a little bit with my family, and also to do some turkey hunting and some trout fishing. So, super stoked about that. I'm glad to be home and spending some time with my family. Haven't seen them in quite a while. Uh, but we just got done celebrating my grandfather's 94th birthday, so time well spent for sure. So, this is the second video in our myth busting series. Um, and this is a video that, this is on a topic that is undoubtedly going to come up in the future, and that's fine. My stance on it won't change unless the literature regarding it changes, which highly doubt that it will. Um, this video is on spot reduction. So if you're not familiar with that term or with the concept of that term, spot reduction is essentially saying, um, would be like saying, I have a lot of underarm fat and I would like to lose that. So I'm going to do a million tricep extensions in every single possible way or something like that. And that'll reduce the fat on the back of my arms because I'm working the muscle that's underneath that fat. So it'll use that fat to exercise, which is not the case for various reasons. Um, for example, first, fat that's used in exercise is not inherently stored in muscle tissue. There's not really a place for it cellularly to be broken down and used for like resistance training. I shouldn't say that. There's not a place for it in muscle tissue to be stored. So what like the real world application or example of that is um, abdominal fat uh, or visceral fat or something. Um, that fat is that type of like tissue fat is located surrounding your abdomen, right? So when you're exercising, just because you're doing some abdominal exercises or some core exercises, the fat that's there that you can see and that you can like physically grab on your abdomen is not going to be essential is not going to be automatically just boom used to complete that exercise. The fat that will be used for exercise like cardio or something like that, where you're doing like high intensity intervals or moderate intensity intervals or steady state aerobic exercise, that type or that fat is found in your bloodstream. And when you're exercising at intensities and at calorie balance levels that are in deficits, you'll use that fat primarily for fuel during exercise. That doesn't mean that you're going to use fat that surrounds different muscle tissue because the fat surrounding muscle tissue is very different from the fat that's flowing in your bloodstream, if that makes sense. Um, the other thing with this is it implies that regardless of your caloric intake, if you exercise specifically an area you want to lean up or tone up, um, which that's a myth I'm gonna dispel at the very end of this because that's yeah, that's not really a big issue though. But um, uh, the crap, what was I saying? I'm sorry, guys. I got a little sidetracked there. Um, yeah, so the calorie deficit, calorie balance. So if you're not, it implies that if you're not in a calorie deficit, then you can still lose fat and you can still decrease your body fat percentage, um, which isn't supported by literature. When calories are equated in a deficit, weight is lost. But like, just because you're doing a million crunches, like, that doesn't necessarily mean that a beer gut is going to turn into six-pack abs. Um, this all being said, the main driver to becoming more lean or becoming maybe or achieving maybe a healthier body composition or getting more definition and stuff in say like your arms or your legs or something like that, that is best achieved through exercise habits, proper nutrition habits, i.e., a calorie deficit over a sustained period of time, and then slowly bulking back up with some muscle build. That is not spot reduction. So, spot reduction is something that's easy to sell, it's sexy to sell from like Instagram influencers and all that crap. It's easy for people who aren't very educated in something that's honestly a really simple concept of weight loss, um, to write a quick ebook and sell it for 50 bucks a pop. Or it's really easy for somebody to say 30-day ab challenge. No matter who you are, you'll get abs in 30 days. And I also wanted to talk about a little bit of the negative social impact of stuff like this. So, from a coaching perspective, let's say I'm your personal trainer, and let's say that you come to me with a goal like I want to tone up my the bottom of my arms, or maybe like my neck, or my inner thighs, or my abdomen or something like that. And I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna do these exercises, and because we're doing these exercises, I'm spinning my chair. You can tell I'm getting a little bit annoyed about this topic. So we're gonna do these exercises, and from these, you'll get lean. You don't have to change anything else about your diet or about your daily routine or anything like that. 30 days comes, and the results aren't reached. We measure body composition, results aren't reached. Same body composition as before. We would do that with like a skin fold assessment where you measure the millimeters of the subcutaneous fat, which just means the layer of fat underneath your skin, which is a standardized method of measuring total body fat percentage. Um, so at the end of that magical 30 days, where we magically are going to demand that the fat here gets burned up from tricep extensions like crazy or shake weights like crazy and stuff. Whereas if I were honest with that person and I was like, okay, so it sounds like you would like to lose some body fat percentage. Um, Tell me more about your nutrition habits and let's see what we can change or add in there, in addition to your exercise habits, and then we'll make some adjustments there. Um, Yada yada yada. Now, the reason that that isn't like sexier to sell is because literally all that comes down to is consistency, slight adjustments, and a bit of determination. That is not whereas like if you're gonna sell spot reduction to people, it's exciting because you can be like, yeah, we're gonna do these push-ups and your triceps are gonna be so lean and shredded and you won't have bingo wings, which if you hold your arm out, anybody does. So first of all, um, so yeah, it's easier to sell that stuff, but it's also, in my opinion, a lot more unethical to sell that stuff, because if you would pay somebody to help you out for 30 days, which is, about a month, um, that could cost you a significant amount of money to get the to get like next to no results, because they're practicing some mythical practice that doesn't isn't supported in any scientific literature about this topic within my profession of exercise science. So whereas if you if you would go to somebody and they would tell you, okay, this is going to be best achieved through stuff like a calorie deficit and proper exercise habits, as well as, say, slight things like increasing your protein intake. Yeah. And oh, by the way, we'll do this with a safe weight loss, um, uh, a safe rate of weight loss. So you shouldn't lose more than half a pound to a pound and a half per week, over the grand scheme of things. Well, that ends up coming out to the fact that you'll probably be bought into whatever that is for 2 to 3 months, depending where you're starting at, of course. But, and the rate of weight loss may be different for other people as well, depending on their circumstances. But through that, you would have built practical understanding, you would have built um, practical habits and achievable habits, as well as achievable goals and realistic results. So it's either that or the guru saying, yeah, spot reduction. Let's do some spot reduction. When really in their head, they just have some quick money on their mind. So that's a little myth dispelled. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and email me. I am also doing online personal training for the Buell Club members for now. And once things open up, I'm ready to hit the ground running with you folks and get some goals smashed. So keep that in mind for when the gyms open back up and the Buell Club's operational again. Um, Come and find me, and we'll get to work. Have a good one, folks. I realized I didn't say the thing about toning up. Like I said, I would shortly dispel at the end of that last of the spot reduction video. And when people say toning up, generally what they're envisioning in their mind is they're envisioning getting more firm, like extremities and musculature in their extremities, and they're envisioning a very lean type of physique, or type of like a very lean appearance in their legs, or a very lean appearance in their arms or their back, or something specific like that. What toning up actually means in physiology, and or in anatomy and physiology, tone is, when it comes to the skeletal muscle system, tone is the constant state of like resting tension that a muscle belly has. So tone is really actually seen where, like, if I stand up, excuse me, if I stand up, you can see my arms have like a constant slight bend, and that's just because of the balance of muscle tone that I have on each side. Whereas somebody else, their arm might hang straight back like that, and it's also like, if you can stand up without any effort, feel your back muscles. Your back muscles are still tense because they're postural muscles, but you wouldn't ever think that they're actually working. And that's an example of tone. So, what people actually mean when they say, I want to tone up, is they want to get a little bit more leaner and sustain that for a while. Um, which, again, that's achieved through nutrition, proper habits and sustained habits, as well as good exercise. So it's all a whole lot more simpler than what these myths are making things out to be. But unfortunately, that means it is a little bit less glamorous unless you like nice, good old fashioned blue collar elbow grease and hard work. Thanks.